Hello and welcome to another episode of Classroom Chronicle. I'm your host, Pete Braley. I am joined today by Mr. James Benson, who is the new principal at Bishop Stang High School. Welcome.
Thank you.
What is your title exactly?
President of Bishop Stang.
President of Bishop Stang. Okay. I want to welcome you to the area. I understand you come to us from Minneapolis. So
I do.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what that experience was.
Well, Minneapolis was one of the stops in my journey. I'm originally from New York. That's where I was born and bred. And I started in the Diocese of Brooklyn. I was at St. John's Prep for 7 years in Astoria, Queens. And then St. Edmund Prep in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. And then my wife and I were very blessed. She delivered triplets in March 2002. And then we were doing so well as parents. God bless us with another baby, James III. So we had 4 babies within 18 months, and we needed a house. And she had felt the need to be closer to home and that pull.
Of course.
So we moved out to Minneapolis, and I was at De La Salle in the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis. I was at De La Salle High School for 17 years. Great place, great location. It's on a little island in the Mississippi River.
Is it really?
Right in downtown Minneapolis. And so that's where I was for 17 years. I was an English teacher, and then was elevated or promoted to vice principal for academic and student life, and then became principal and eventually head of school.
I was in that area once on a business trip. I was there for one weekend, I think, and all I remember driving towards Minneapolis was it was farm, city. Does that
pretty
sum
accurate?
It up?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. In the winter, it's ice, and then pavement. But
I was going to ask you. I have it written here. Are you happy to be done with Minnesota winters?
I am looking forward to the coastal winter again.
Yeah.
I grew up on the ocean most of my life, so it's great to be back on the coast. But those are long winters in Minnesota. We were joking. I was telling some friends that my backyard thermometer for the 17 years I was there was as cold as 26 below zero.
Wow.
And as hot as 102 degrees. So
Whoa.
If you want extreme weather, that's the place to go.
Well, you're in much nicer territory now, as I'm sure you know.
I am.
Now we have that old rain-snow line,
Right.
which you're probably going to come to hate if you're the guy that makes the decision about school or no school.
We had a few of those in Minnesota, believe it or not. But I am an avid fan of the weather, so I follow it on a daily basis. So I'll be looking forward to those challenges, I guess.
One more thing I have to say. You said you had 4 children in a span of 18 months?
Yep, so I have triplets who are 20 years old.
So you didn't sleep much in the early 2000s?
No. And you can see the hair disappeared pretty quickly.
Same here. I had 4, same here. So what attracted you to Bishop Stang? Why did you come here?
Well, I'd served as principal for 10 years, and I had the position to be head of school at De La Salle for a year. I'm very close with my family on the East Coast. My daughter goes to St. John's University.
Okay.
She's a toddler elementary ed major. She wants to teach the real little kids. And she's also a cheerleader at St. John's. So we got to see the games on FS1 all the time.
Okay.
And I felt the pull. My wife certainly missed my daughter, and she's at St. John's a lot. She was hardly home. And I just felt the pull to be back east. And when I just started exploring, like, what ifs, possibilities, Bishop Stang, I was contacted about the Bishop Stang opening. And, it's got a great reputation, obviously. And not just the school, but the area. And when I looked at it, I said, wow, it's a great school. We'd be close to the area again. It's a growing school. It seems to be the hub of the community.
Yeah.
And so I said, let's check it out. And I got permission from my wife, of course, Pam, and we looked into it, and it happened really fast. I was interviewed in March and was offered the job in early April by Bishop Tacunia. And I felt it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down, and the last 6 weeks have proved that I was right about that.
Now, you mentioned that you have worked in a number of Catholic schools. What is your personal education background? Did you grow up in a Catholic atmosphere?
So I have been in Catholic education my whole life. I joke, so there were 4 years that I went to a public college. I'm the oldest of 4, and I always say I took the hit for them. I went to a public school so mom and dad could afford to send them to Catholic schools and then Catholic colleges. I was, even when I was in public school though, I still had a job in a Catholic school. My summer job was working for the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Oh.
At Stella Maris High School. I did maintenance work. It was a great job in the winter and summer when I had winter break and summer break, and worked for Sister Jane Bannon, who she was very detailed and you had to follow what she wanted. So I learned the ins and outs of the maintenance of a high school. And I usually say that's really where my career started. I was a Catholic school student since first grade. I come from a family that was in Catholic education, that all were Catholic school students. And so my whole life I've been in Catholic school. I'm privileged to be in Catholic school, Catholic education now 30 years as an employee.
Oh, wow. What would you say to someone who's maybe on the fence? I mean, give me your recruitment speech here. Why should someone go to a Catholic school as opposed to a public school?
Because I really believe that Catholic educators their commitment is second to none. That they are very good at the relationship piece of getting to know their students, that they care, that they will touch the hearts of their students. And the fact that you can grow a student in faith and that you can really help students discover their authentic selves. That can happen in a Catholic school. The fact that you can pray, that you can talk about gospel values, you can talk about your faith, your beliefs, that students can learn the history of religions, not just the Catholic religion, but all religions, I think is a significant need in our society these days. And so that's my pitch, is that the teachers are really going to make the effort to get to know your children, and they're going to have that opportunity to pray. And does the world ever need prayer?
Right. Do you feel that helps? I mean, the teenage years are the teenage years. So does that kind of background, do you think that helps someone navigate those waters?
Yeah, I think, and I think even for some kids, it's a door that we need to just keep them in, a doorway we need to keep them in, because we're in a society now where you start to see kids that are losing some hope at an earlier age than they should be.
Right.
And what our faith teaches us is that you're not alone, and that you could feel alone, but you're on a journey that God has created for you, and we have to really be inspirational in being role models of faith for our students. And it's a critical time, I think, in the world. I told somebody the other day at a dinner that I think Catholic education, has been around for nearly 200 years, and Catholic education right now, I think, is more important than at any other time in its history.
I can see your point. Yeah. So tell me, do you walk into this new job seeing what you have, and where do you want to take Stang? Do you have new goals that you want to accomplish?
Well, Bishop Stang was the first Catholic high school in this area. And I think it's significant that we are seen as we were the first, right? And so what can we do to reestablish that, we've been here the longest, and so we're the best at what we do. What can we do to do that? What can we do to market that? What can we do to get out there and share our story? This is who we are at Bishop Stang. We're about spreading the goodness of God, and this is how we do it. So we have to get out in the community and do that. So our students, I've met, dozens of students so far, and my interactions with them have been terrific. You can feel their spirit, their enthusiasm, their pride at going to Bishop Stang, their pride of being part of Spartan Village. So it's our role to get out there and spread that, the Spartan characteristics, that we can get out and not just have people come to our school, but get out and spread that. And that's what I would like to see us do. Spartan Village isn't just on our campus, but it's all of New Bedford. It's the Dartmouth area.
And you were mentioning before about the huge alumni.
Yeah, we have over
force
4,000
that you have.
families. We have over 4,000 families that are part of us. So, I believe Spartans are everywhere, and they're proud of their experience.
I know whenever we do a sports game, they're loud.
Yeah, and so to your point too about being loud, that we've had two years at least that we really haven't been able to celebrate as a community. And so one of the things that I would want us to get back in the habit of is let's get out and celebrate who we are. Let's feel that spirit. And that's been hard to do with the masks. Obviously with COVID, students have had to learn remotely. We've been interrupted. I hope that continues to trend away, and we can get out and celebrate who we are as a school.
Right. I know. Talking to you before we started, and I also ran into another educator this past weekend, there seems to be a feeling of great relief that you're out from under that now, that the CDC has relaxed the guidelines.
Yeah, I'll use the phrase, I think there's still some cautious optimism. What's the next variant that's lurking? But the fact that this recent one has come and the hospitalizations really haven't increased, I think is a good sign.
Right.
But we still have to be on guard to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. Everything from washing our hands, to covering our mouth when we cough, to staying home when we're sick. We have to really be on top of that so we don't have spread in the school. Those are still important.
I read a statement from Superintendent Daniel Roy, who said, understanding the challenges and opportunities facing Catholic education, Jim will bring keen insights. What challenges is he talking about, and what are your thoughts on those?
Well, finance is always a challenge in Catholic schools.
Yep.
We work with tight budgets, and we have families that are making great sacrifices to send their children to Bishop Stang. They're giving up something significant usually. I'll joke with the kids and say, your parents could be going on a nice cruise. They send you to public school.
They sent you here.
But they, and it is really a privilege for us to work with their students, because they're putting the money down to say, I have faith that my student will find success in life if I send them to your school. That's a great privilege. That's humbling.
Yeah.
So our parents are our greatest partners. So back to to your question, what are the challenges? Well, finance is one, but then marketing's the other, and frankly, making sure that our enrollment stays strong. So we have to have strong programming, academically and co-curricular wise. We have to be a school of service, and we have to be public about our service. That when you have Bishop Stang, it's not just better for the students and their families, it's better for the entire community. That's important.
Okay. Do you feel that they need to do a better, you need to do a better job of that as far as letting the community know what you're doing?
I think we have to reestablish that.
Right.
It's been done, but I think a lot of things COVID has made us easily forget. And I think we have to go out and reestablish that.
Okay. We're talking with Jim Benson, who is the new president at Bishop Stang High School, and you mentioned you're originally from New York City, so I have to ask, Yankees or Mets?
Mets all the way.
Mets!
Mets all the way.
We can be friends.
Yeah, Mets all the way. And we're having, I call them that right now. They're the majestic Mets. They're having a great season, and
they are.
I'm happy for I have 3 boys and a girl. They're all Met fans. I'm happy for them. They're finally seeing. When I talk about 1986, I'm like, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It was starting to feel that way a little bit, but we have a ways to go.
We had kind of forgotten 1986 until Vin Scully passed away, and he called that play that went through Buckner's legs.
I was an 11th grader in high school, and that was a great memory in my life. And my mom passed away. She made great sacrifices for me, as well, obviously my dad, for us to go to Catholic education, Catholic schools. But I remember vividly when they won the series how she cried. And she didn't see. I never thought she cared much about the Mets or baseball, but maybe the joy she saw, or me experiencing, and everybody, But
I know we're getting off topic here, but what determines who are the Mets fans and who are the Yankee fans in New York?
Yeah.
Does it depend on where you?
A little bit.
The Bronx, Queens.
So my dad he grew up by the Polo Grounds with the New York Giants, and so when the Giants left, that was his National League team. He couldn't stand the Dodgers, and he wouldn't entertain rooting for the Dodgers. So when the Mets came, that was the National League team.
Okay.
So a lot of the Giant fans are Met fans, and they now, along that Queens, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, and then Yankee fans, have some Brooklyn, New Jersey, Bronx, Manhattan.
Okay. Where all the arrogant people are. I didn't.
I'm
You didn't say it. I did.
I'm not going to say that.
And Mets or Jets or Giants?
Yeah, the Jets.
That might be a problem around here.
It's been a tough one, but like I said, my dad had grown up by the Polo Grounds, so when the New York Titans came up in the old AFL, he was quick. He couldn't get season tickets to the football Giants, so he got the tickets to the Titans,
right?
And then got the tickets to the Jets in the new Shea Stadium in 1964 by the World's Fair, and then Joe Namath got drafted, and suddenly it was a cool thing to have season tickets to the Jets.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so.
Just as long as you're not related to, was it Ed the fireman?
Fireman Ed, yeah.
Fireman Ed,
Our heads look alike,
he was
but
a
we're
guy.
not related.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
While we're talking about sports, what do you think of that new complex, the new athletic field at the Hugh Carney Stadium?
It's impressive. It's the first complex I've seen that includes, 4 different sports.
Right.
5 different sports, actually, because you can do the football, then the field hockey, the soccer, the softball,
baseball,
lacrosse, baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see it, and we're excited to use it fully this year. In the fall last year, we couldn't do that, and so this year we're excited to do that. So I'm a big supporter of sports. I announced the home football games for De La Salle High School in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Where I was. I announced those for 17 years. I am a big believer in co-curricular activities.
Let's get into that a little bit because there are some people who say, I want to know what's going on in the classroom. That's what's important. We don't need that stuff. But that's not true.
No, I believe that every adult that works in a school is an educator. So whether you're an English teacher, math teacher, business office, maintenance, football coach, field hockey coach, theater director, you're teaching kids. You're around kids because you want to show them something, right? And I also believe that when you have whatever happens in the classroom is going to be on the field, and vice versa.
Okay.
So you'll find that your successful teams usually have students who are good students in the classroom. They take their academics seriously, and so the co-curricular I find really covers the hidden curriculum of the school. You have your academic curriculum, which is your homework and your tests and quizzes and the content that you learn, but your hidden curriculum is learning how to manage your life. So how do you relate to authority? How do you manage your schedule? How do you show up on time? How do you meet your responsibilities? And so for the full high school experience, you want to be doing well in the classroom, but you want to be doing well in those activities. Whatever activity that is, you want to be doing well in that.
Right.
And so you want to have that balance of the academic and hidden curriculum.
We mentioned before we went on the air, you and I were talking, and I told you I did a show recently with the new, about the new elementary level, the St. Therese school. Is that important? You knew the players, so are you constantly watching that and communicating with basically your minor leagues, right? Your feeder program.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, great word. We want to have strong feeder programs. So one of my early goals is to get out and meet with the elementary Catholic high school principals to find out how can we reestablish Bishop Stang's relationship with the elementaries. How can we connect our kids with your kids? Right. How can we connect our teachers with your teachers? I think it's really important that the elementary school teachers know what the curriculum looks like at Bishop Stang. So especially in those middle school years, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they can say to the students, look, if you want to go to Bishop Stang, Here's what you're going to have to know.
Right.
So I look forward to working with, especially our Vice Principal for Academics, Dan Dias, on ways that we can do that. But then also working with Amanda Tarantelli, who directs our campus ministry. How do we get students out to be people of service in the elementary schools? I think that's really important.
Okay.
That when students are young, that they see the impact the older Bishop Stang students have.
What do you think is the major drawback for families making that transition? Is it finances?
Finances is certainly a challenge. I think with inflation, when you see gas hit $4 a gallon, that's real money.
Right.
Parents, if they want their children to be active, it's going to be really hard for them to stop driving, right? So that gas bill is not really going to come down. One of the goals that we have at Bishop Stang is how can we raise the money to make it more affordable for families that are on the cusp.
Right.
That's really important. We give out right now over $580,000 in financial aid. I'd like to see that number increase, but we're going to need supporters' help to do that.
Right.
We're going to need people in our alumni base to step in and say, "Hey, I can donate. Something. Anything helps."
Mm-hmm.
But if our alumni are more engaged, then we're going to have a greater opportunity to get more young people in our community engaged. Because right now it's a tough ask. We have strong public high schools. We have really good public high schools in our area that are, I think, a healthy competition. Because I'm a believer in the rising tide raises all boats. So when all the schools are good, that's good.
Okay.
That's what society wants. But we have to really stand out at Bishop Stang to say this is why it's a strong this is why this is a really positive option.
Mm-hmm. How is the enrollment? Well, you can get into Stang if you want, but nationally, is enrollment in Catholic schools doing okay?
There was a dip a few years ago, but I think with COVID now it's back up, especially at the lower levels.
Okay.
In the K to 6s and the K to 8s, and we have an opportunity, I think, to seize that. But that's why I think it's really important that the Catholic high schools work strongly with their Catholic elementaries.
Right.
We're not two separate entities.
Right. Which a lot of times people think that. They think that way.
Yes,
they're very,
they do.
Well, to use it, they're very parochial.
Yeah.
What happens here is us.
Yeah, that when our Catholic elementaries are thriving, then our Catholic high schools should be thriving.
Okay.
So how do we make that work? And that's, I look forward to working with Dan Roy and the diocesan team on doing that. Mm-hmm. They're working on an exercise envisioning what the future looks like. And I've just been so impressed with Bishop D'Acunha and his vision for Catholic education. He knows how important it is for our students to have that faith-based opportunity to speak about gospel values, learn about the significance of Jesus Christ in their lives. It has to start at a young age.
Have you had a chance to we're recording this program about a week or two before school starts, so have you had a chance to meet many of the teachers, and how do they feel entering a year with no COVID restrictions or very few?
So we're about 2 weeks from when school starts, so I have not wanted to interrupt their summer break.
Okay.
They have earned it. But a few have reached out and welcomed me via email, and I'm starting to meet with some individually now and having good conversations. But they're excited to come back. From what I understand, they're excited to teach without masks, to see their students' faces. I remember last year at this time in Minneapolis, we had just had summer programming where we didn't have to use masks, and then Omicron came.
Right.
And we started with masks. And, we were like, all right, well, at least we're all together, but that became pretty hard pretty fast. Whether students wearing the masks correctly or you couldn't see the students' faces, that was really hard. And I think developmentally, especially for our younger students, they were missing the verbal cues that you see.
Right.
This is all covered. And they're missing that. And then some hadn't been in school for an entire year. So there's still ripple effects that we're going to have from that.
I remember when the masks came off, there was just a huge feeling of joy because you could see smiles, you could see faces.
Yeah.
I never realized how important that was to all of us.
Yeah, for us it came slowly because there was trepidation, especially among the 12th graders, because they didn't want anything to risk their graduation.
Right,
And
right.
so they were slow to take the masks off. But eventually, as we had our play, as we had our section basketball games, and they got to experience the crowds, then you could see, like, especially the 9th graders, like, oh, this is what it means to be in high school. Oh, this is what they were talking about when you have
Right.
social events. And but doing that from the get-go, I think, will be really important.
So we have a couple of minutes left. I don't know if you want to sum up with Jim Benson has come to Bishop Stang, and what do you bring? What are you looking to do?
Well, I bring enthusiasm about our school, and I bring enthusiasm about Catholic education. I hope to bring an energy that will create even more optimism about the school's direction. I'm a collaborator. I cannot do this all myself, and I look forward to working with the team. As I wrote in a letter to the staff, welcoming them back to the school year, I said, our first day back is August 29th, and I said our work continues August 29th. This is our work collectively that we do as a school, and that's significant. That the engine runs and hums when we're all leaning into our work. We're all leaning into being better. And that includes the students. And our number one priority, I listed, finance, budgeting, facilities, tuition, but our number one priority is the students in front of us, and to grow them and to nurture them into critically deep, critical thinkers who have been touched by the goodness of God and will spread that out to others when they graduate. And that's what I hope to bring to Bishop Stang. And maybe a World Series celebration with the blue and orange, or maybe teaching people how to spell Jets, Jets.
I don't know about that. Patriots
I'm just
fans
kidding.
are different,
I'm just
different
kidding.
breed. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You also told me that in Minnesota they were the was it the boys basketball champs?
So we have boys. So our boys team won 7 straight basketball championships, which is a state record, and our girls team actually won 4 state basketball championships. And those were fun times because you got to experience the school. You had this school spirit, but it wasn't just the students. It was the students, the parents, and the alum.
Right.
So when you bring all those stakeholders together, like maybe on September 9th when we have Dartmouth football at our place for the first big Stang Dartmouth football game on our field, great things happen.
Yeah.
We have to be role models too for our kids, and just how we celebrate that and how we have good sportsmanship. That's really critical.
Well, I want to welcome you and your wife Pam to the area.
Thank you.
And we'll meet again.
We will. I look forward to another conversation down the road.
Thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you.
All right. That'll do it for this week. Please join us again next time for another edition of Classroom Chronicle.